Good evening, class. My name is Darian James, and today I will be interviewing a very special and intriguing person who I've known all of my life, but I still haven't known her backstory. My beautiful grandmother, Dolores Johnson. How you doing today, grandmother?
Doing great, doing great.
It's wonderful.
How are you?
I am wonderful.
Great.
Absolutely wonderful. Happy to be here, first and foremost. Thank you for inviting me to your humble abode.
Humble abode, yes.
Well, let's get it started.
All right.
What was your background? What was your like?
Background, working class people, entrepreneur, mother and father, 40s and the 50s, my experience. Don't remember too much of the 40s, developing, but the 50s, my parents owned their own business and everybody lived in the same neighborhood. Back in those days, black people were called colored. So there were colored neighborhoods, and we had to have our own everything: cleaners, shoemakers.
Mm.
Some people don't even know what a shoemaker is today because they don't get their shoes done. They throw them away when they don't work anymore. But we had doctors and lawyers in the same neighborhood. It would, everything was segregated. So doctors and lawyers, even doctors and lawyers at that time, could not go venture out into another neighborhood and buy a house there. They had to always stay
Mm.
in the black neighborhoods.
Right.
But down the road, it might be a white family. We played with the kids, but come Monday, they went to their school. We went to our school. They went to their church Sunday. We went to our church. So it was quite segregated.
Okay.
So segregated, in fact, we'd have to go like 40 miles to high school. All blacks in Anne Arundel County. That's where I grew up. Went to Wally H. Bates Junior Senior High.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why most black people in Anne Arundel County know each other because we all went to the same school.
Interesting. I didn't know that. Were there any tension between colored people and
I
Caucasian
didn't
people?
notice any tensions until I guess when I started going to high school, junior high school, and then high school, because you start doing different things.
Mm.
You start going outside of your neighborhood. That's when you notice the tensions. Well, thankfully in my neighborhood we didn't have um, the hooded white, um,
Yeah.
uh,
Klansmen.
yeah, Klansmen riding through.
Right.
But in the South, you would hear about them going through that and how they would run into a family's home and take who they wanted out, man or woman, and then next thing you know, they're hanging from a tree. And I remember my mother showing me a picture of Emmett Till in the Jet magazine because at that time we only had Jet magazine and Ebony. That was our black publications.
Mm-hmm.
And Emmett Till, I mean, this still stays in my mind and in my heart. That little boy and how he looked in that coffin, and how they beat him and then they threw him in the water, and he was so bloated from that water being
Mm-hmm.
in there for several days. And that image of that child, in that magazine, my mother showed me that. I think she showed it to me, and on purpose to let me know what's going on outside of our neighborhood. Also to help me be more careful because I was of the age now where I would go outside the neighborhood now,
Mm-hmm.
and she couldn't protect me all the time.
Right.
And I'm saying my mother because my father was in Korea. So you can imagine that our black soldiers are going to defend our country, but yet we're being hung here in the tree by Klansmen,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So we're good enough to die for our country, but we're not good enough to live in our country,
Right.
you know. So that was my feeling at that time. Even though I was small, I had feelings about this, not just the segregation part. If you want to be segregated is one thing, but the hatred and the killing, that's another thing altogether. And I see it today, coming back today.
Right.
But it's going to be dealt with differently today than it was back in the 50s. I know. Remember Martin Luther King? He brought about a change, and in a respectable and honorable way. And his mentor was Gandhi, and you can tell because he was nonviolent, and so was Gandhi. But I practiced at that time after seeing Emmett Till. I was more of a Black Panther type person. You know, I became militant because it made me very angry. Why would you want to do that to a little boy? 13 years old? What harm could he do to a woman or a man, regardless of their color? You know, did it take all of that? You know, what did he do to deserve that? So, and that's what I wanted. You know, that formed me in a way of how I looked at the world differently at that time as a black young lady or colored young lady. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it really does. Um, it also answered another question I was ready to ask you as well. Were you a part of any civil rights movements?
No, I was too young. I wanted to be. I wanted to be a freedom rider, but my mother's, there were no parts of that. She said, they will kill you. Are you crazy? You're too young, you know. But at that time, you know, you people, I was willing to die for it because of the fact that it was right to do. And the wrong that was going on, not only just with us or any person, any people, we need to stand up and do what is right uh, for the whole, you know. Because if we don't do what's right for the whole, no, they're not bothering you today, but when they get finished with them, they're coming after you next. Because that kind of person, those kind of people, that's all they do is come after people. So no, you might not be the the target today, but you'll be the target tomorrow, the day after. So you got to get rid of those kind of people who want to come after anybody, put them where they belong, in jail or whatever. So that's my feeling.
I understand. In comparison to today's movements like Black Lives Matter, would you say it's somewhat started to develop a similar reaction as it was towards when you were growing up in the 60s?
In a way, not so much similar though, because I see them forming and I hear their message, but it's not loud enough. They say, we don't need a leader. Yes, you do. Because you need one person speaking for all, but this one person, he or she, has to have the voice of all, not their feeling, but the feeling of all. Because if everybody's yelling, you don't hear.
Just the one voice.
Yeah, but one voice, you can hear that one. You can hear it and you can understand, comprehend it. But with everybody's yelling, you just hear noise, you know? So yeah, they do need a spokesperson. They don't necessarily need a leader, but they need a spokesperson. So you can hear clearly what it is that they're talking about, what they want, what they're going to do, and how they plan on getting it.
Also, in a way, would you possibly, I don't know how to probably word this, but do you see like maybe a Martin Luther King or a Malcolm X coming within my generation?
Yes, I do.
So,
yes, I do. It's going to come. You're going to have, but I don't know if it's going to be a black person, okay? You're going to have that spokesperson. And they're going to, like Martin was our spokesperson. I can't get that word out for some reason. He knew it, he felt it, he lived it, and he could empathize with other people, okay? And he could sympathize with other people. So this is where yours is going to come from. A person that can empathize and sympathize what people are going through. Not only the Black Lives Matter, but there are the children that were born here. They didn't choose to come here, but they're here. They were born here as children. Now they want to put them out of the country and put them somewhere they know nothing about. It's like somebody taking you from here and putting you back in Africa. You don't know a thing about Africa. You don't even know that language anymore. So how can you do that to another individual? You want to send people back to where? Honduras? They don't know Honduran people. They know American people. They know the American way. I don't hear anybody saying, well, I'm going to send you back to Germany because you come from the Hitler ranks. I don't see anybody say, I'm going to send you back to Moscow because you come from a time of people that want to, same thing, like Hitler was, that you want to imprison people, I don't see people saying, well, I'm going to send you back to, where is this other countries, some of these countries that came out of the USSR, that these people are here today. I'm going to send you back to China. I don't see where people say, I'm going to send you back to China, send you back to Korea. We had fights with all these people in the past. If you read your history, I don't see anybody saying that about them. I mean, even our president, I don't see anybody saying that we're going to send Germans back to Germany because we don't want that kind of thinking here that they had there. So how can you say that with anybody? I don't see anybody saying we're going to improve the conditions of the Indians because we stole the whole country from them. I don't see anybody saying any of that. But I'm watching. You're going to have somebody. God's going to give you a powerful person, and y'all going to freely follow them. Yes.
As well, last question. Are you starting to feel a sense of unity coming towards people today, or is it somewhat straying back?
No, I see the unity in the young people. This generation is coming up because of guns and shooting in the high schools and the junior high schools and elementary schools. Babies being shot, going to school. I see people coming together now because law enforcement's not going to do anything until you make them. Either you make them change their way of thinking in the way they do their business, or you get rid of them. These kids from Florida says, we're going to be voting soon. Either you do what we ask you to do, or we're going to vote you out. And that's the same message we had in the 60s. Either you do what the people of this country need, or we're going to get rid of you and put somebody in here because you're supposed to be representing us. Some people have it backwards. D.C. has it backwards. Congress has it backwards. They think we work for them. They work for us. We pay their salaries. They don't want to give us good health insurance. We pay their health insurance. We pay for their haircuts. We pay for their shoes to be shined. We pay for their animals coming to work. Who's babysitting those animals and feeding them? Who's paying for that? We are, taxpayer. That's why our taxes are so high, because they're living off of a level that's so much higher than the average American. Things need to be changed. That's what that person's going to do that you're all looking for. And it's a young person that's coming. I see this generation like the 60s. That generation of students from Florida, it's like the generation of the 60s. They're going to bring change. Now, this for 50 years, Martin Luther King's been dead 50 years. We just celebrated him. For 50 years, this nation's been asleep. You see, we got to a point where, okay, we can sit back, relax now. No, there's no time for relaxation. We should have kept fighting, kept working. Now government's got to a point where they're bigger than the whole. They're bigger than the whole, meaning the entire country, the world. Congress is bigger than the whole. We have to put them back where they belong. No, you're not. You're here to represent us. Representation. If we have taxation, we must have representation. All right? Because that's history. Did I answer you?
Yes, it does.
Very good.
Thank you, Grandma. Thank you for everything.
Anytime. Anytime. Anytime you want to jog the memory or history, just let me know.
All right.
I lived it. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And that is all for today. We thank you for tuning in and watching this wonderful interview, and have a blessed day.